Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Today, we're going to be talking about modern middle grade recommendations. I'm only recommending books or series that I have actually read. Disclaimer here, we do not have any children ourselves. I read ARCs on NetGalley for middle grade. And look, once again, the dogs are deciding to play as I record. So as I was saying, I read a lot of ARCs on NetGalley. Not a lot. I read some ARCs on NetGalley that are middle grade in nature. The majority of these will be from NetGalley ARCs. So let's do those first. First up would be The School for Whatnot by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I read this one. It was released on NetGalley in 2022. It is reviewed on my blog, which will be linked down below. And the premise of this story is that Max's parents want him to know only kindness. And so they have created for him a school in which he is supposed to be the only human student. And all of the other students are robots. And thus begins the story. Max attends the school from the time he's in kindergarten through this is a sci-fi book for middle grade. It is very well written. It is a very engaging story. The children in here are believable. There's two viewpoints. There's Max's viewpoint and his cyborg best friend, whose name I forget. I am sorry. I don't want to spill too much because it will spoil the actual book if I do. This is a standalone. It is incredibly charming. It is an incredibly good read for a middle grade reader. It talks about the importance of friendship and standing up for your friends and how differing backgrounds are irrelevant. I highly recommend it. Next up is, sorry, I'm having to look at my laptop because my phone is recording. C.C. Rios and the Desert of Souls by Kaylee Rivera. This is book one in the C.C. Rios series. I've only read the first book. Sarah Reeds mentioned this book when she just did the Blind Bookful Challenge with her daughter. I don't think she mentioned this book. Her daughter did. This is an incredibly charming story. Cece lives with her family. This is a middle grade fantasy, by the way. So Cece and her family live in the remote desert, and during certain times of the year, powerful spirits roam the desert. And Cece's family and her entire village believe these spirits are very powerful and they're very dangerous, and they want to avoid them at all costs. Cece, on the other hand, does not share this belief, and she thinks there's more to the story than what she has been told. When her older sister is captured by one of these spirits, she must rescue her sister. It is an incredibly readable book. It is the importance of family, the importance of believing in yourself, even when everyone else says you're wrong. And it is a journey of self-discovery and learning that you know yourself best. I truly enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it. It is fun and little ever so slightly scary. I probably would have been ever so slightly scared as a middle grader. And I can't recommend it enough. It was an easy 5 stars for me. Next up is The Last Wind Witch by, can't remember her name, Jennifer Adam. This is also a middle grade fantasy. And this one, I'll read you a brief synopsis. Many years ago, in the kingdom of Fenwood Reach, there was a powerful wind witch who wove the seasons, keeping the land bountiful and the people happy. But then a dark magic drove her from the realm, and the world fell into chaos. Brita is our main character, and she is confronted in her small village with trying to learn to be, I believe it's a healer, and she can't control the magic she has, and her mentor is very frustrated, and she goes on unintentionally a journey to find herself and gathers new friends and discovers that she is the last Wind Witch. And it is I think, as I recall, I read this in one day. It was an uplifting, magical read. And the magic was a vital component, but it wasn't a vital component in and of itself. It was tied to understanding who you are and how that journey of self-discovery helps you succeed in life and be who you were meant to be. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. My next 2 recommendations for Middle Grade March are both library books. They have been returned, so I don't have anything to show here. As always, all of my reviews will be listed down below. First up will be the book I just finished, The House on the Edge of Magic by Amy Sparks. This follows a character named Nine who was abandoned on the streets as a very small child, found by an older man named Pocket, who gathers unwanted children and has these kids thieve for him in exchange for some food and a roof over their heads. These kids are not shown any love or affection. They have really no hope. And they sort of live in fear of Pockets. And they're always in competition with each other. So one day, Nine is in the market. She is trying to find something to steal to keep Pockets happy with her. And she sees this fancy dress lady, is determined to steal her purse. It goes horribly wrong. She's chased through the streets. She eventually finds something to steal. It's this little ornamental house. She's once again being chased through the streets. She finds an alleyway where no one can see her. And she taps on the front door of this little house. And suddenly the little house is a very big house. It's, I think, like 11 stories tall. It squeezes in between this very narrow alleyway to become a very tall, rickety house. And thus begins the adventure. This was a fun read. This was Nine's journey to discover that she was meant to be more than just a thief. And she doesn't have to live in fear. And it was charming, and there is some magic in this book. There is not a lot. It's definitely a fantasy book, but it is much more a journey of self-worth and self-discovery than it is what I would consider middle grade fantasy. It was delightfully fun. And last up is Green Glass House by Kate Milford. It is the first book in the series. I read this in December of 2022. This is by far the largest of the books in this video. It is the most complex, but it is also pure delight. Milo is our hero. He is 12 years old. He lives with his parents at Green Glass House, which has been traditionally a smuggler's inn. It is right before Christmas Eve. He's off for the holidays, and it's Christmas Eve. All of a sudden, the inn has gone from empty to full. He's playing with the guests, one of the daughters of the guests at the inn, and it is obvious very quickly that something is up with all of the guests in the inn that were A, unexpected, B, seem to know each other, but no one wants to admit it, and C, there's some kind of mystery going on that involves the inn that he's unaware of, but all the guests are. This was pure delight. You're not going to read this and think, oh, it's a Christmas book. Because it's not. Even though it's set at Christmas, it is not a Christmas book. You can read this at any point during the winter, and Christmas isn't going to be the predominant theme. There is some magic. There is a journey of learning about yourself. Milo was adopted by his parents. He's never quite fit in. His parents love him. He loves his parents. That's not the issue. But he has always had this inkling that he's something a little different. And this book sets up his journey of self-discovery. It is thoroughly enjoyable. Excuse me. It is an easy recommendation. It is over 400 pages, which is a lot for a middle grade book. And it's very dense type. It's not like, large font, 400 pages. It is small font, 400 pages at a library book. So this would be on the older side of middle grade, but that's okay. It is humorous and adventurous, and it all takes place in the hotel, in the Green Glass House. So in a very small space, Max learns family secrets. He solves the mystery that's going on in the house with all the guests. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and the only reason I knew this book existed was because in December, Paige over at Pages of Blessings mentioned that she was going to read the book. It intrigued me, and so I picked it up from the library. I am so glad I did. I want to continue the series, hopefully at least one more book this year. And it is just charming. So, those are my modern middle grade recommendations. I don't hear them talked about a lot. I didn't mention some, highly popular series. I haven't mentioned Aragon or his Dark Materials. I'm trying to think. There's others. I couldn't mention them. I tend to shy away from the uber popular books. Those are my recommendations for middle grade reads that are written, I will say, modern. I didn't read them as a child. Have you read for middle grade March? What have you read? What are you looking forward to reading? Please like and subscribe, comment down below, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.